The Book of Recollections, Episode 38, The Beast Within, by Dicesylvania. Oh, who doesn't enjoy a good coup story? But I feel like we're missing a few people, some we haven't heard from in a while. If you're also wondering what they've been up to, boy, do I have a story for you. Lysander felt the awakening, brought upon him by the full moon glistening in the clear night sky. Still in Winterheim, he turned towards the nearest icy cold woods, running as fast as he could, leaving all signs of civilization behind. Not even the swiftness of Jen was able to catch up to him, the bard managing to lose her trace through the dense woods. His panting was slowly turning into guttural growls, and the village was shaken by the sheer terrifying howl, pushing folks towards the town center to seek protection. Then, darkness. Images of his previous prey followed, flooding his mind, making him sick to his stomach. Lysander woke up naked in the snow, flinching at the sound of approaching footsteps. He then saw a familiar figure with blonde hair, piercing red eyes, flowing red dress, a countess he had previously met in other not-so-fortunate circumstances. A seemingly cheerful Isolde started telling him about the previous night, how she went chasing after him, how he tried to bite her. She seemed impressed with his strength and asked him for his help. But before she had a chance to explain, Maverick approached Isolde, letting her know that the coffins must be immediately moved into the new house and the granddaughter must be located. After giving Lysander his belongings back, Isolde adamantly made him understand that his help was not a mere request, more like a forced obligation to move the sturdy coffins along with other silver elves. He labored intensely between the outskirts of Greenspring and the village near Winterheim. When the job was done, Isolde tried to put her charms on the bard, who confessed that, while his old self would have jumped headfirst at the opportunity, he had an interest in someone else, not offering their name. But Isolde had other tricks up her long sleeves, and Lysander was engulfed by a pink and purple dust, slowly falling asleep and plummeting to the ground. I'm not sure even Lysander would be into such treatment, even if it's coming from such a beautiful temptress. But seriously now, who do you think he was talking about? I'm getting all giddy. But let's move on, we have another on the list. Tulrock and Sigrid were on their way to meet her parents, considering the Goliath to be a worthy match for her. She did not talk as fondly about Jotunvik as she would have liked, having to leave town because the other giants would make fun of her smaller size, always taunting her. They decided to stop for the night, preparing the campfire and settling in. But Sigrid felt restless, constantly looking around. Then, she spotted two gleaming red eyes coming from the forest, and the wolf lunged ferociously at her, with Sigrid catching it in mid-air and throwing it away from her. But she was not prepared for the second wolf that went straight towards her shoulder, violently biting it. Seeing Sigrid brought down to her knees, Tulrock sprung into action to defend her, both holding their own against the beasts. A tall, imposing figure, sharp fangs glistening in the dark, mocked them for their attempt to fight off the wolves, and with a short whistle, the hounds retreated into the woods, with Sigrid on their tail to finish them off. Tulrock attempted to go after her, but the figure cut his path, trying to persuade the Goliath to join him. But once again, the request turned out to be a demand, as another figure, concealed by the branches of a tree, put a spell on Tulrock, who fell to the ground, as if instantly falling asleep. Now it makes sense why Keith saw Tulrock in the dungeon! But can the other creature be? No! So much drama, I love it! Back at the vampire mansion, in the dimly lit dungeon, Keith was staring at an upside-down Tulrock, locked in a cell with another being, battling between man and beast, snarling with moments of fleeting recognition. Keith felt like she knew him, but had no time to react when a massive creature, lurking from behind her, stepped into the light. Battered, bruised, and bleeding, Sigrid pushed past Keith, going straight to Tulrock, who had been used as a feeding bag for the vampires, being kept alive only by them feeding him rocks. But Sigrid sensed evil in the being next to him, and sought to terminate the one who was marked with the beast's scent, only to be stopped by Keith before she struck, convincing the giant to focus her attention on Tulrock while she unchained Lysander. Lunai timidly appeared in the dungeon doorway, wishing to offer her help to rid Lysander of the curse bestowed upon him. She pointed towards Sigrid's shoulder and told them to follow the heart, the nose of the wolf, while advising them that Sigrid's tattoo was the key to Lysander's salvation. But before she could offer any more details, the astral's form started frizzing out, disappearing completely right when she was giving the name of the city, Jotun being the only thing they could understand. Upstairs, Adam completed the purification process, successfully eradicating all of Eleanor's former covenant. But instead of cheers and congratulations, he was welcomed with fear and anger from Seraphine's clan. He tried explaining that they were in no real peril, and that the vampires he had vanquished possessed a nature far more evil. When he tried to take his leave, Valon stopped him, claiming he would have to answer to Seraphine for his actions. Seraphine, Jen, and her father were standing at the balcony, mortified by what they had just witnessed. Jen went feral and lunged straight towards Adam, trying to grab him, but burning herself in the process. She started berating him about his unnecessary actions, firmly convinced that the others would have had no choice but to follow the one true ruler that was Seraphine. However, Adam reminded her that Seraphine was the one that betrayed Eleanor, having sworn the same oath of obedience. While Jen continued to express her anger, condemning his actions ferociously without letting him utter a single word, Adam's face went blank all of a sudden as he moved towards the nearest window, as if summoned by a higher power. As he approached, the familiar voice of Sirius flooded his mind, seeking his help. He was given no more than 3 hours to reach Jotunvik following the Canis Major constellation and help a companion in need. Otherwise, his ascension would be in peril. The tension was palpable when the group from the basement reconvened with the rest. When Kate started telling the others about Luna's advice, the words "follow the heart and the nose of the wolf" drew Adam's attention, deducting that they had been tasked with the same quest. Surely enough, the tattoo on Sigrid's shoulder depicted the Canis Major constellation that would lead them to Jotunvik, her birthplace and the safe haven for all giants. With everyone geared up, and Lysander shoving a long curtain in his backpack with darkness chomping on the other end, the group set off on their time-ticking trip, powered by Lunai's blessing in the form of moon water that invigorated the party. Adam led the way, with Tulrock assisting him, carefully studying the web of stars to guide him in the right direction. But the full moon from that particular night seemed to thwart their plans when Lysander felt the beast taking over him once more. Not even the beautiful melody coming out of Leo's lute could soothe the ferocious creature that was already showing his teeth. Lysander dropped down to his knees while the gruesome transformation happened before everyone's gaze. Keith tried to change form, shifting into a raven dark wolf in an attempt to communicate with Lysander, but the beast was far too hectic and savage to be reasoned with. Force was brought into play when both Sigrid and Jen tried to immobilize him, with Keith reminding them not to harm him. They made use of all the rope they possessed to make sure the Wolfman was a threat no more, until he would revert back to his old self. With the peril temporarily contained, they pushed onto their journey, with time not necessarily being on their side. They reached a vast clearing with 4 stone pillars towering towards the sky, adorned with intricate runes that resembled giant speech, and in between them a large twisted tree, reaching up so high they could barely see the branches. Around it, a huge horn was encircling the tree, coiling all the way down to the ground with its mouthpiece accessible. However, at the edge of that clearing, emptiness. The group had reached the edge of the world. All they could hear was the low hum of a distant horn gently vibrating through the air. With a proud grin on her face, Sigrid started telling them how they would need to match the vibration of the other horn so they could travel to Jotunvik, wishing to be the one to lead the way.
She clasped the lead pipe with both hands, inhaled deeply, and blew into the horn as forcefully as she could, placing all her hopes and wishes to see her home once more. The pillars came to life, each shining brightly and creating what seemed like a constellation above the tree. On each of them, united by dots, there were shapes drawn with a name underneath them. Hude, or head, a smaller triangle made out of 3 stars. Hole, or tail, 2 stars forming a line. Bena, or legs, 2 V shapes of different sizes made out of 3 stars each. And torso, a tetrahedron shape made out of 6 stars. Adam quickly realized that, while the parts of the constellation could be attributed to Canis Major, their position was off. The group noticed huge rusty wheels on the side of each pillar and decided to take a chance and spin them. Jen and Keith put the first one to work, smashing through the gathered rust and ancient dust. Immediately, part of the constellation above started shifting its position, leading Adam to believe that the purpose of the pillars was to test the travelers to rearrange them and form the correct Canis Major constellation. Adam pulled out a star chart and started guiding the group that was turning the rest of the pillars without letting go of the wheels that would immediately revert to their original position if not kept in check. With Jen, Leo, Tulrock, and Keith combining their forces, all pillars were shifted into place, the stars of the Canis Major aligning above them. A burst of energy washed over them as the stars started burning brighter. While that was happening, Lysander finally reverted back to his normal state, lying naked and bloodied in the snow. Sigrid helped him up, while Keith wrapped her cloak around him, and Adam brought some much-needed warmth to shield the bard's bare body from the biting cold. Sigrid then proceeded to sound the horn once more, and the ground shook. A massive stone bridge appeared at the edge of the world, a seemingly infinite bridge connecting to Jotunvik. 3 stone horses appeared out of nowhere, so the party paired up while Adam took to the sky, following them across the bridge. 3 large mountains with humanoid shapes majestically rose in front of them, while a low humming was piercing the air, similar to the ones at Gogmagog prison. Nearing the torso of one of the mountains, the horses suddenly merged with the bridge, leaving their riders to plummet ungracefully to the ground. Giants all around them, some of them visibly smaller, possibly mixed with other races, while others seemed like the textbook portrait of typical giants, with clothes that could barely fit their more important regions. A shadow was cast over the group when a humongous brute loomed over them, considering them either very brave or very foolish to attempt entry into Jotunvik. However, after a few slurs of her own, Sigrid lunged towards the other giant in a wholesome embrace, greeting the man who was her father. After getting acquainted, he took the group into the city to help them clothe Lysander and seek some answers. While Lysander was busy putting on a giant glove with holes for his arms and legs, being the only piece of clothing that would actually fit a human, Adam felt serious, calling out to him once more. He told a story about how Obscuro was ashamed of the giants he had created, driving each one towards the edge of the world to get rid of them. But 3 elder giants, Eldrin, Vastria, and Skadi, were spared when the love of their dog, Sirius, proved far greater than the love of his own life. He made a deal with Fenrir, allowing him to consume his material body once he had created a safe haven for the remaining giants. But what Sirius did not anticipate, as he was being consumed by Fenrir, was that the soul he did not know he possessed was saved by Lumeno, who granted him ascension for his good deed. And as Sirius managed to save the giants and further shield them from Fenrir as well, he asked Adam to protect them from his influencing whispers, Fenrir having found a way to instigate hatred towards humans, and force the giants to leave their homes and follow him. In turn, he offered to help separate Lysander from the beast within. Back in the bustling city, Adam told the group about his encounter with Sirius, who spoke about a cave nearby where, if Lysander were to step into the lady's moonlight, the two sides of him would be separated. Knowing what was at stake, the party rushed towards the caves with guidance from Sigrid's father. They reached a tunnel that opened up to a vast, dimly lit chamber, but for a feeble ray of moonlight that creaked through the ceiling in a pool of water. Lysander, understanding the procedure, took Kate's hand to kiss it, then sprung towards the moonlight. The moment he stepped in, a big hum reverberated, the moonbeam flickering and twisting unnaturally. Then Lysander started contorting as the tearing of his two sides began to take place. The curse was fighting back. A sharp snap and one half staggered forward, naked, human, free of the beast's touch. Beside him, hunched in the dim glow, stood the true beast, a towering werewolf, breath steaming, eyes burning with pure hunger. The cavern shuddered as the beast let out the most terrifying howl. Then it lunged to attack Lysander and Kate while the others sprung into action, combining their forces to slay the beast for good. As the wolf was drawing its last breaths, Lysander tried to talk to it, almost as if he had forgiveness to offer. But there was no reasoning with it, so the bard was forced to watch that former side of him disintegrate before his eyes. Out of nowhere, an elder giant woman appeared, ignoring the people in the cave, and going towards Sigrid, who happened to be her granddaughter. While braiding her hair, the old woman talked about how some giants have already turned to Fenrir, who was aided by a human named Eric. She warned of an attack upon Greenspring in 2 days' time, claiming that if the city fell, more giants would follow. Trying to figure out what was the quickest way to reach Greenspring, Kate and Leo joined in prayer above the pool of water, with moonlight washing over it. Kate stepped in it, focusing all her might on the Midnight District near the Chancellor's mansion, while urging everyone to jump in. Tulrock and Sigrid jumped in sync, followed by Lysander, Leo, Jen, and finally Adam. Just before she went in, Kate felt a presence behind her. Lunai timidly appeared to thank her for saving Lysander from the curse. With a few words of wisdom to get her through her journey, Kate jumped into the pool, not knowing what awaited her on the other side.
This was the recap for episode 38 of VIM, as told by the Book of Recollections. I was Ruxandra Vorotneac, your VIM recap narrator. If you'd like to join us as VIM, the Tale of Immortality premieres, tune in on Sunday at 5 p.m. UTC on youtube.com/@Dicesylvania. New recaps drop every Friday evening. And remember, every subscribe keeps the magic alive. Thanks for sticking with us. Good day, good night, and don't let the vampires bite.